Hello, this is Heather Butts with L.E.A.R.N for Life Consulting, and this is class number 2, the college interview. Okay, so what is the college interview? College interview is part of the college application process at many colleges and involves either an in-person meeting with an admissions officer, a current student, or graduate school. More recently, interviews are being conducted by Skype, so this is a very interesting technological advance. Oftentimes, when you do the college interview will actually be conducted in person. Sometimes they will conduct them by phone, but now Skype and other online applications are a way that college interviews are being conducted. So we'll talk about that and how you prepare for a Skype college interview. Why interview schools you apply to? So the interview is helpful both for you and the school. You can show your interest in the college, so this is very important. You want the college to know that you're interested, that you're excited about the school. You can share information about yourself that goes beyond the applications. Sometimes you can't really get everything that you need to out there about who you are and what you're about. The interview can be a helpful way to do that. You can also explain things that may not make sense in your written application package. So issues that may not be able to be fully explained in the application or even in the essay can be explained in the interview. You can ask questions about the college that can help you make a decision about whether you really want to attend the school. Remember, the interview is a two-way street, so not only do you want to make sure the college knows who you are, but you want to find out more about the school. You may have an interview, and based on the information you find out, you may realize that this is not necessarily the school for you. The only way you do this is by doing an interview and having a two-way discourse with the interviewer. What will happen during your interview? So you'll introduce yourself to the interviewer. The interviewer will introduce themselves. Interviewer will ask you a series of questions. You should have questions ready for the interviewer. Remember that while it's smart to get ready in advance, you shouldn't memorize answers. So there are certain common questions that you will be asked. You should practice those, but it shouldn't sound like a script. How to get ready for the interview. So first, you're going to find out if the school you're applying to actually offers interviews. You can contact the admission office and find out. You want to do lots of research. You do lots of research on the school, lots of practice. You want to practice with family, friends, counselors until you feel comfortable with the process. Basically, just want to practice some of these key questions that we're going to talk about and make sure that you're ready. More interview prep. So you want to make an interview appointment with one of the colleges that you want to attend, and you want to mark that on your calendar. So make sure you've actually marked it on the calendar. Notes. You want to make notes about why you want to attend this school. This is where the research comes in. Academic background, high school experiences. Make notes about your life outside of the classroom. And this is where your resume is going to come into play. We talked about the resume a little bit on the last class. You should have a resume. It should be fantastic. So you should have a resume, and a lot of what I'm talking about here for interview prep will actually be taken care of by having that resume. Research the college by checking out its website, brochure, course catalog. Choose appropriate clothes to wear for the interview. You also want to create a folder to take to the interview. We talked a little bit about business cards. You want to actually create a business card which has your name, your email, and your cell phone number on it. And you want to get a folder that has one of those pockets for business cards. You want to add your resume and other pertinent information. It might be an article you've written, a poem, something like that. You're going to create that folder and take it with you to every single interview. You want to get more familiar with these common interview questions that we're going to talk about and practice. Take turns being the interviewee, the interviewer. So you want to have a family member, parent, somebody else that will practice with you, and just go back and forth, okay? You want to prepare questions about the school to ask the interviewer. I recommend 5 to 7 questions about the school specifically, and you want to make sure you know where you're going. Get directions. You know, I'm located in New York, so it's not such a big deal. Hop on the subway, and usually you're where you need to be. But you know, if you're somewhere more rural or suburban, you know, somebody's going to be driving you, or you're going to be driving yourself. Just make sure you know where you're going, so you don't get lost. Do the interview. Dress nicely, appropriate. For young men, nice slacks, a nice shirt. You can jazz it up with a tie if you want to. Nice shoes, hair combed nicely, well groomed, nails groomed. Ladies, a skirt and a blouse, nice shoes, maybe with a short heel or flats, stockings, just plain earrings, not, a ton of makeup on. Dress nicely, appropriately, fairly conservatively, though. You don't know who your interviewer is going to be, and better to be conservative than to not be conservative. You want to arrive early. Have a solid handshake. You can practice this with your parents. Just do the handshake. You practice with them, they practice with you. Be polite. You want to be polite. You want to answer questions honestly. Send a thank you note to your interviewer after the interview. We're going to talk about this more on another session, but you absolutely want to send a thank you note. Should be handwritten, ideally. You can get thank you notes at Hallmark and, get a bunch of them, pack of 20, pack of 30, and send a thank you note within 24 hours to each of your interviewers. Have a nice conversation. Again, this shouldn't be scripted. You're going to ask questions. So express your interest in the college. Be yourself. Don't try to answer questions based on what you think the interviewer wants, because you don't know them. You don't really know what they're after in a question. So just answer honestly. Prepared. Practice with friends, family, counselors. Take turns answering questions. These are all important. After the interview, you want to make more notes about how the interview was, what happened. File away any business cards and contact information that you get from the interviewer or other admission staff. And like I said, send a thank you note. Thank the person for their time, and refer to something specifically you talked about in the interview. So, if you talked about your piano lessons, or you talked about, some interesting current event, current affairs, talk about that in the thank you letter. Make sure you reference it. The thank you letter should always be written right after the interview. Do it by mail, send it the same day or the following day. We've gotten a little casual in society, so oftentimes, students will send emails. You could send an email thank you right after the interview, but you want to follow that up with a thank you note within 24 to 48 hours for sure. And again, make it personal, something specific to the interview. Don't just send some generic thank you letter. All right, so here's your first assignment. So everybody who's on this call live, you're going to have the ability to turn in these homework assignments to me. And again, as being on here, I'm giving everyone 2 free sessions to go over the essay and interviews with me. So 2 sessions this time. Last time I offered 1. This time I'm offering 2. So anybody who's on here live, please contact me at heather.butts@learnforlifeconsulting.com, and I'll get you all set up. So first homework assignment is that, again, if you're on here live, you can get to me. Pick a friend or family member and role play being a student on an interview. Have them ask you the following questions. Tell me about yourself. You're going to get this no matter what. At some point in the interview, you're going to get, tell me about yourself. What course have you taken? And we'll prepare you for college, work in college. Name one strength and one weakness about yourself. This is another oldie but goodie. Tell me about a time when you handled a challenge effectively. Why should a college accept you over other applicants? So these are your homework assignments for this week. Please get them to me before next Saturday. Pick a friend or family member and role play the student asking the following question at the end of the interview. So remember, you want to create 5 to 7 questions. If you want to do, more, you can. But role play these. Could you tell me about your time in college? Is there additional information that you believe I should know about the college process? Why did you decide to attend this particular college? Is there any additional information you need from me? If I have further questions or updates, can I contact you? And then come up with 3 to 5 questions that you would like to ask during the interview process that you think may be asked. Practice these at home and with your friends and family. So practice these, go over them, make sure you can do them well. Practice. Feel free to be in touch with me. You can either use my L.E.A.R.N for Life email or the AOL email, so you can definitely use that. And I look forward to being in touch with you. Okay, so let's see if we have any questions. Okay, we have one question. All right, so somebody is asking, okay, all right. So we have a question regarding practice. How much should you practice for the college interview? It really depends on you. Some students are really good at interviewing, so they may only need to practice a couple of sessions. Other students get very nervous, so they need a lot more practice. I think you'll know after you do, one or two practices how much you'll need. And again, you may need help with this, so you may need to contact, a college counselor. You may need to contact, someone who's versed in HR interviews, something like that. Make sure you get the help that you need, because it's going to be imperative that you do a good job on the college interview. We have a question. What if you don't get asked for an interview? Does this mean that you're not going to get into the school? No, and actually I would highly recommend that you follow up with the school. Some schools just don't have the time to interview everybody, so you'll want to know that. Other schools, they may just not have enough people to do interviews, or they may have an interesting system whereby they do it. So just find out. It doesn't really necessarily mean anything if you're not contacted. It doesn't necessarily mean anything if you are contacted. But you want to find out what each school's policies are, and if you can get that interview, ideally in person, you definitely want to make sure that you can. Okay, we've got a question. Okay, let me go back to this. Somebody's asking about, tell me about yourself. What do interviewers want with respect to the question, tell me about yourself? Okay, that's a great question. So I recommend to students that they have 5 facts about themselves, so tell me about yourself, and then they have 5 descriptive sayings. There's 5 descriptors, right? So tell me about yourself. So I grew up in Queens, New York. I lived there my entire life, and I went to high school there, and look forward to moving on to college somewhere else. Just throwing that out there. Or I played the piano since the age of 8. I enjoy the piano. I find that it helps me with discipline and focus, and I look forward to continuing my piano when I go to college. So you have the fact, what you do, and then you have a description about it. And you should have 5 of these, okay? Don't have 20. Don't have 2. Have 5 to 7. You don't want to be talking on and on. You want it to be structured. 5 to 7 is a good number. And, make sure that you know this cold, right? So tell me about yourself is not something that should be difficult for you. I mean, it can be difficult for students in the beginning, but it shouldn't be tough for you once you get into this practice. Tell me about yourselves, your strengths, weaknesses, handling challenges. These are all questions in some form and fashion you're probably going to get. So you should have a pretty decent, well-thought-out answer for these, because when it comes time to answer them, and you will have to answer them on just about every interview, you should be able to do it. Okay, so that's it for the session today. Next up, we're going to talk about the resume. We're going to talk about picking your schools. So lots more coming up in the next couple of weeks. And again, if you want to be in touch with me, you can reach me by phone, 347-489-3060, or you can reach me by email, hmbutts@aol.com or heather.butts@learnforlifeconsulting.com. All right, I look forward to being in touch with you, and happy college preparation.